Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 17th, 2022 meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission. My name is Kimberly Walsh, and with me tonight are Commissioners
Cameron Murphy,
Lily Peterson-Wertman,
Jason Heyer,
Elizabeth DeMello,
Roy Anderson.
Okay, I would like to appoint Elizabeth DeMello as a full voting member tonight, and I would like to designate Cam Murphy as the timekeeper. I don't think we need to go into public comment or, rules for public comment. If we do, I'll bring them up at that time. Also wanted to announce that this meeting is live and it's being recorded by our friends at sandwichtv.org. It'll be streamed on their website and available on local channel 15. It will be available tomorrow for you to watch if you so choose. Okay. All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just have a quick question. Does the commission want me to pass the plans down as we go through each filing? I'm happy to do it, but if you don't want it,
I see them on my laptop, so I'm okay.
Yeah, we are.
I just wanted to
electronically
ask
is okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
that's
I
really
won't
nice
do
of
it.
you.
Yes, appreciate that, Josh. Okay. Okay, let's get started. The first hearing on the agenda is DEP file number SC66-1949, Jonathan Fryer, care of...
No, I recuse myself.
Okay. Let it be noted that Josh is, Jason is recusing himself. Okay, sorry. Care of Bracken Engineering for a notice of intent to construct a single-family home at map 74, parcel 55, located at 8 George Rock Road in Sandwich. Hi.
All set? Hi, thank you very much. My name is Don Bracken, owner and professional engineer with Bracken Engineering, representing Mr. Fryer in this case. This property is right around the corner, as I'm sure you know from this building. Some of you may be familiar with it. We had an original 2015 order of conditions, and then it was amended in 2020. Previously on the site, there was an existing house. Part of that original order of conditions was to raise the house, clear out some invasive vegetation, and so the only work that was done was the removal of the house, the removal of the septic system, and the removal of the vegetation. Unfortunately, the permit lapsed, and the work kind of stopped after the house was raised. And when Mr. Fryer came back to us with revised plans, when we pulled the file out again, we realized that it had lapsed. So we're back in front of you with a new notice of intent for a new order of conditions. The site is pretty similar to the last plan that was approved, with a different house configuration, septic system closer to the road. The wetland resource areas are the same since last time. There's an off-site BVW to the east that was identified on a plan for that the abutting property. And the entire site is within land subject to coastal storm flowage at elevation 13. The flood elevation, the site ranges in elevation from elevation 11 at the street to elevation 8 at the back left corner, or the northeast corner of the project. The standard septic system design, septic tank, 3-bedroom soil absorption system, but because of the groundwater table, we are required to bring in fill and raise the grade approximately 3 to 3.5 feet to get that groundwater separation. The structure itself will be on a crawl space, built in compliance with the building code in FEMA with flood vents. Same with the garage. Garage slab elevation will be at elevation 15. It will have flood vents, even though it's still 2 feet above the flood elevation of 13 in this case. We're proposing dry wells, as on the previous plan, to handle the roof runoff, and Filtrex socks around the perimeter of the work for erosion. The site's fairly level, so with a slight slope. I don't anticipate any major erosion from the site. It's not a full foundation construction. It's a 4-foot frost wall for both the crawl space and the garage. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Don. Commissioners,
Did you say that the existing septic had already been removed?
Yes,
Okay.
according to the owner, yep.
I'm sorry, is there any public comment regarding this filing? No public comment, okay. Thank you. I'll close public comment.
So Roy Anderson, just question on flood area. Have you looked out 30, 40 years or just where it is today?
Well, just where it is today, but right now it's at elevation 13, and the top of foundation is going to be at elevation 15, and the first floor at 16. So the first floor is already 3 feet above the flood elevation today. So there is that cushion, to account for any increases in the flood elevations in the future.
So have you looked at what the flood elevation?
No, we haven't evaluated what the future flood elevation is. We're just going by what is currently.
Wouldn't the applicant want to know that their house is not going to be underwater some 20 years from now?
Well, they want to know that it's going to comply to today's regulations, I'm sure, and that, as I said, there is a factor of safety in there by a couple of feet from the minimum that would be required, so.
Since a significant, well, not a significant portion, but a portion of the disturbance is within the 50-foot buffer, I think something that we would probably want to see is some kind of a permanent marker to establish a limit of lawn, for instance, so that the lawn doesn't end up encroaching into that 50-foot buffer, whether it be, stone markers or a split rail fence or something of that nature. Is that something that?
Yeah, that's
Amenable.
yeah, definitely amenable. There is work in the 50-foot buffer for grading around the back of the house, but I assume that those markers would be at the approved limit of work, not at the 50-foot buffer, because it comes right up to the back corner of the house.
Well, I think we would want to keep the 50 as a no disturb zone after the work is done. The limit of work may be within the 50 now, but once the work has been completed and the area has been revegetated, we wouldn't want any area within the 50 to become lawn.
Okay, that's.
And we'd want mitigation planting as well, too, after the work has been done. So pepper bush,
Pepper bush. I don't.
whatever's, I'm not the plant expert either, but native plants to make sure that it stays natural.
For the disturbance within the 50.
What about, we're going to need to have some access around the corner of the house, so there is going to be a portion within the 50. Maybe you could allow like a 5-foot area around the house anyway within the 50 for lawn rather than
Maybe you
mitigation.
could cut 2 feet off the house.
Is that?
You could cut 2 feet off the house. You're basically building on top of the 50-foot buffer line, and it's there. That seems a little. I feel like you keep asking us to encroach into this 50-foot, and we're telling you we don't want you to at all. Like we want a fence there or some sort of guideline to prevent any future disturbance within that area.
Well, I certainly can understand that, but this wasn't, a naturally vegetated lot when we first came in. It had an existing house. It had the existing site was already disturbed. And this area within the 50 was already cleared under the old order conditions. So I'm just asking for some space there to get around the house, and I don't think, 5 feet would be that unreasonable, but, doesn't seem like a big argument. I'm not going to really argue about it. I'm just asking for you to consider the 5 feet given the circumstances of the site.
So if you picture it, though, there'd be if you delineate the 50-foot buffer, you're going to have a fence, like a split rail fence or some sort of markers, and then you want like 5 feet, of lawn after that, because that's where the 50-foot buffer would be.
No, I think what he was asking is that he wants us to
Move it
allow
out.
the fence to be pushed into the 50
Yeah.
foot
Yeah.
instead of along the 50.
Have a 45-foot buffer.
Right.
example.
It's not a 45-foot buffer.
Well, just if I may point out, here's the 50-foot buffer right here.
Yeah.
I'm just asking as it gets close to the house to bring the fence so it's 5 feet around the house. So there's a 5-foot area to get around the house in that corner, even for, regular maintenance, to have access around the house. So that's.
Wow.
I would think that would be reasonable.
Well, then maybe the stones are a better option than a fence, because the stones will sit in the ground and you won't see them, and you can technically walk around, but it won't allow for any building or...
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And it doesn't, the mitigation plantings don't necessarily have to be like waist height bushes every, 100% coverage. It can be, we wouldn't want to see somebody pushing a lawnmower through those portions of the 50, right? Because that's against the regulations. But if it was whatever propagated with certain types of bushes that allowed that access around the house, I think that would be okay.
That's fine. That's fair.
And a quick question, what's going to happen to the existing septic system?
The existing septic system, I believe they already removed that when they removed the house.
That?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions.
I don't either. Commissioners, any other questions? Okay. Do we want to close and approve with the revisions,
I
or do we
would be
need...
comfortable doing that unless there's any objections. I'd be comfortable doing that with the conditions that we discussed.
Okay. We don't need a revised site plan?
Josh, do you have any comments?
I think if the commission wants to close and approve, the best thing to do would be to really articulate where exactly the markers will be for the no disturb area. And as I understand it from what the commission has been saying, is it that the commission wants them to be placed along the proposed limit of work as marked on the site plan?
No, we want the markers at the 50.
At the 50-foot buffer? Okay.
However, with the understanding that an individual may need to cross over those markers, for instance, at the corners of the home, to maintain that side of the house. So the markers, rather than a split rail fence, and then...
I think here the commission may want to consider this. If the markers that are going to be marking the 50 and signaling that that's a no disturb area go as the 50 is delineated, then this person's stairs are going to basically come down at the edge of the 50. And what I foresee happening is that beyond those markers in the 50-foot buffer, you're going to have an enforcement issue with them turning that into lawn. It might be something for the commission to consider using the proposed limit of work as the marked area for no disturbance, just so that you can cut down on future enforcements, in that event. Because, if the person doesn't have, and I'm not trying to justify how this is designed or anything, but I know that when this kind of thing happens, then it always winds up a problem, because they inevitably cut, back there, and then fights ensue. And I'm happy to fight people, but I think it can be avoided here if you move those markers out just a little bit.
I'm just a little uncomfortable moving the markers to what is not the 50-foot buffer. You know what I mean?
I think it's if you think of it in terms of compliance and what you're going to get from it, you could mark the 50 as it is, and then maybe that'll work, but I could see in 3 years down the line there being some issue. But if you give it a little bit more space and mark it a little further out, you may still have issues in the future. I'm just giving the commission a couple of options and some insight into what I know has happened on some other properties. So that's all.
Well, this is Roy Anderson. Wouldn't it be easier, and the split rail fence obviously has issues. Moving it to 45 creates a precedent on being able to move it off the 50. So having stones, they can work around it, but still be very clear as to where the boundary is, would be, I would think that would make a very good, reasonable.
I think either one is a reasonable
That's fine.
marker / barrier. you know, they're easily identifiable, which is important.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable with moving like a buffer back. I just feel like Roy was saying it sets a really poor precedent, especially because it's not like we all came to the table today understanding what the 50-foot buffer means. You don't work into it, right? You don't grow a lawn into it. So I feel like they knew that when they proposed this project. We know that going forward and approving it. So I feel like in other instances we might say cut the screen porch back or remove the stairs so that we know you're not going to use that like as an access way for lawn bowling or something, you know, like. So I think that rather than us being like, oh, have an extra 5 feet, we should be thinking about ways to, I don't know, put the stairs in a different direction. And
Can I ask a question, though? Isn't the 50-foot buffer, isn't that a natural buffer that the regulation is referring to? 50-foot natural buffer?
It's meant to be kept in a natural
Right,
state.
but
Obviously, sometimes it's disturbed,
Right,
but it's still
right.
a 50-foot buffer, and it still possesses those jurisdictional protections.
I mean, rather than struggle with this any further, I'd be happy to go back to the client, see if we can relocate the stairway, and maybe come back with a plan, you know, working it out with my client so he understands before the next meeting, you know, where the limit of activity he's going to have.
Maybe
And
even-
maybe he'll choose to, maybe he won't want to be that close to the corner. Maybe he will choose to, you know, alter his plan somewhat. So rather than struggle with
Or,
this any
you know,
further.
push the house a little bit forward, you know what I mean? Like another 5 feet, so you have more of a cushion over there.
I will, yeah, why don't I'll ask for a continuance, and I'll go over with him, and I'll try to come up with a plan that satisfies everyone.
Thank you so much, we appreciate it.
So,
I wanted to apologize. I know I came out swinging and I snapped a little bit
That's
there.
right.
So thank you.
That's all right.
Very good point, though.
what's,
So we're going
what
to
do we have,
continue.
9-7.
9-7? Is that enough time?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Want me to make a motion?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll make a motion to continue DEP file number SE 66-1949, Jonathan Fryer, care of Bracken Engineering, for the notice of intent to construct a single-family home at map 74, parcel 55, located at 8 Georges Rock Road, Sandwich, Mass., to the September 7th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So I'll keep an eye out for a new site plan then, I guess, leading up to the 7th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, I would now like to open DEP file number SE 66-1950 for Donald Bracken, care of Bracken Engineering, for a notice of intent to construct a garage and shed at map 36, parcel 18, located at 5 Jones Lane in East Sandwich, and Jason has recused himself from this hearing as well.
Okay, thank you. Don Bracken, representing myself on this one. Some of you may be familiar with this area in the intermittent stream that's on the property. Well, let me back up. We've been there about 16 years, so I'm very familiar with the resource areas on the site. We did have Bob Gray look at the site. There's a low-lying area to the north of the site that doesn't have any wetland soils, doesn't have any wetland vegetation, but we have identified a limit of observed flooding in the springtime when this intermittent stream does get some flow. So we've shown that on the plan. So the resource areas on the site are the intermittent stream, the banks of the intermittent stream, along with this land subject to flooding. Not identified on any flood maps, but just from what I've observed over the years I've been there. I've also included some photographs of the intermittent stream. The house, when it was built in 1977 by the people that we bought the house from, they pretty much cleared the whole lot. Both sides of the intermittent stream have been maintained as lawn since we've been there anyway, and definitely years before we got there. So we're showing the 50-foot buffer from the bank of the intermittent stream. What we'd like to do is put a garage in this open, cleared area, remove the existing shed that's already there, and build another shed almost right at the 100-foot buffer on the west side of the property. Again, this area, as you can see from the pictures, it's all lawn. It's all previously disturbed. I try to come in with a plan up front that hopefully would satisfy the commission to mitigate, the work that's already happening within the, that we're proposing within the 50-foot buffer by adding plants around the intermittent stream in the area of the work, consisting of some cedar trees, high bush blueberries, arrowwood, and I might have had sweet pepper bush in there. I've had a lot of experience with these plants on my property in particular. I've replanted several areas to try to, using natural vegetation indigenous to the area, and I've had some, some success. Bayberries I haven't had success with for some reason, so I didn't propose any bayberries. But so we'd like to, renaturalize this entire area. Now, a little history on the stream. It's literally dry. I would say 48 weeks out of the year. We only see water coming down this portion of the stream, like mid-March, into April. And when we first moved there, the first 5 or 6 years, we barely had any water. We didn't see any water. But the town came in on Old County Road and replaced the culvert upstream of this stream. And then we started seeing a lot more flow come through for a longer period of time. The flow actually originates in a wetland that's downstream from the pond where the railroad track bed collapsed that you're all familiar with a year or so ago. So, and I think a lot of work has been done upstream, clearing the stream out and so forth. So right now it functions pretty well. It flows pretty well. But unfortunately, all the town's drainage system, from Old County Road goes into the stream. And every year, I put it in notice of intent, I have to maintain portions of the stream to take out the sand from the road. So it really, to look at it, it's not what you would think of an intermittent stream, even though technically it is by definition. It acts more of an extended drainage ditch, handling the town's drainage. And also, the other thing that has a big impact on how much water comes through the stream is the bogs that are adjacent to that pond. Because at times they release a lot more water than they should, and we end up getting more water than usual. So we've talked to the bog owner, and they've, since they did that one time about 10 years ago, they let it out a lot slower. That water eventually ends up down in this area. And then to the east, the water keeps going, all the way down eventually to Scorton Creek. But there's a driveway to the east on number 15 that sort of acts as a bit of a dam. I never been on the property to see what's there. Maybe there was a culvert under the driveway at some time, but that sort of controls the flooding that occurs in this area when the water does flow. So, and there are a lot of invasives down there too that I try to manage, and I want to keep trying to manage: blackberry, honeysuckle, and a few grapes and that sort of thing that typically you would see. At one time, this was all open farm area, and things have been manipulated. We're also proposing dry wells for the roof runoff. We're not changing any of the grades. It's pretty level where it is. The reason we chose this location was because, to meet the rear yard setback, but also so we wouldn't have to change the driveway configuration and, would be able to access the garage from the current driveway. Now, with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Don. Did you say that you wanted to replace the lawn with native vegetation around the stream?
Yeah, in this area
Yeah.
right here that I hatched in orange.
Right.
That's shown in green on your plans.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners?
Basically, this side is just going to match the existing limited clearing on this side right here. And when we first moved there, I'll probably let this grow in another 20 feet. And then, so I'm trying to bring it down. I'm happy to bring it down. My wife likes the open field, but I think I told this we're going to have to get rid of the lawn, at least in this area. So.
All right. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this file tonight? Okay, I'll close public comment. Commissioners, do we have any
I just
questions?
want to confirm, you didn't want us to get between you and your wife.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
So the stream is only there approximately 2 months out of the year?
It flows about 2 months out of the year max, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And like you said, here are the pictures of it. I can bring it up to you, but they were in the notice of intent if you have them there.
Yeah, I've got it. And is the limit of work noted on there? I didn't see it.
The limit of work, yeah, it's right. It goes around in this L shape on the downslope side of,
Okay.
like I say, the only trees that are going to come out are actually stumps from, that storm we had last March or whatever it was. There were 2 large trees here and here. And
So the proposed Filtrex erosion control barrier is also to be considered the
Limit of work.
limit of work?
yes, yeah, yep.
And as far as the garage is concerned, we don't have any plans on the garage. How do we know it's not going to become like another residence or plumbing, things
Well,
like that?
I am, right now, we only plan on doing the garage, but we are going to build a second floor on it. And we don't have plans for it right now, but it could be an office or it could be an accessory dwelling at some point in the future.
Okay.
If that was the case, I would have to upgrade my septic system, which I already, I would put it up in this area. Right now, it's right about in this area. So right now, we're just not there yet. It's not, something we'd like to do sometime in the future. We have 3 kids that are in their 20s that, it's a possibility. So
Okay.
we'd obviously have to come back for modification or another application if that time comes.
Okay, thank you.
Seems pretty reasonable to me. I mean, I think the net effect is positive in that, we're gaining a revegetated area around the intermittent stream that's currently lawn.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it the way it is. Commissioners?
Yeah, no further comment.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Josh, do you have any
Anything to add?
feedback on this?
I do not.
All right, I'll
Okay.
take a motion then.
I will make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SE 66-1950, Donald Bracken, care of Bracken Engineering, for the notice of intent to construct a garage and shed at map 36, parcel 18, located at 5 Jones Lane, East Sandwich, Massachusetts, with standard and special conditions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Before I go on, is there anyone here for an informal that would like to speak? Got an informal hearing later, 12 Harbor Street? Yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and go now, I can move the agenda around to accommodate, so you don't have to sit through the entire meeting. No? Okay.
We thought that Josh was presenting this. We didn't know he had
This is,
12 Harbor.
I mean, if the applicants want to speak, then they can. But it was a request by the applicants to use old plans for the new notice of intent that they're filing. And I don't think I have the email with me. He's got it. Why don't you read it then?
Could you do me a favor, sir? Could you talk into the microphone? Thank you. Appreciate it. And Steve. And your name?
I'm John Fox.
John Fox. Thank you.
And we had an approved order of conditions to build a new house at 12 Harbor, which you approved back in February. Actually, that was an amendment to it. And unfortunately, we stupidly let it lapse. So we're back at square one. So I'm having some troubles with our engineering firm to make up new plans, because I guess you want a before and after site plan. And what we had submitted in February was one combined, so you can see the new stuff on top of the old house.
Okay.
And what we're hoping is to be able to use that again, because as I said, our engineering firm is way behind, and it's going to take them many, many weeks to get, to be able to do separate plots plan. So, I mean, we do have an existing one that was filed originally when the NOI was first put in back in 2018. So that's there. That's part of the old file. But the new one, obviously, is a completely different design that we submitted in February, but that had, again, the new overlaid on the old.
Okay.
And so you would use that at that time, and we're hoping that you would allow us to do that again.
Question, Roy Anderson. Josh, question for you is that the 3-year time frame has gone for that filing, but all the documentations that were stamped, do they expire, or are they as valid today as they were 3 years ago if there's no changes, of course, in the underlying work?
Well, it really depends on how the resource area has changed, whether or not the commission wants to uphold the standard of having a new stamped plan for the filing. If the commission, I think, always has to kind of weigh, what is, potentially being lost if it decides to allow an applicant to come forward with something less than that. In this instance, the filing had been for a raise and rebuild within the buffer zone to, I guess, a coastal bank, I think, over on Harbor Street. So, it's at the commission's discretion to determine at this point, if it's going to grant the applicant's wish to come forward with the old plans, because the commission doesn't see any discernible change or any big negative effect from accepting that, or if the board wants to require a new stamped plan.
Yeah, really nothing
the board
has
has made this decision, in a number of different instances. It's always important for the commission to remember that it is the commission's right to require one, but at the same time, if there is nothing to be gained from it, really, then the commission should really consider that and consider what the applicant is asking.
When were these plans done?
The original plans are done in 2018,
Okay,
and the overlaid one
February.
it was February.
Okay.
I showed the new. And again, if you took the one that has the overlay on it with the existing, if you compare that to the one that was done in 2018, and it was by a different surveyor, you can see they're the same. Nothing's really changed out there. I mean, we have a bulkhead out there, and so the bank's not changed at all. And
Do you have the overlay with you? Could you
Yeah, I
just
do.
show it to us?
Yeah, if we're dealing with a coastal bank, potentially upland, I don't see, unless it's been like someone's actually manipulated it, I don't see that changing as a resource area in the past couple of years, unless someone's gone in there and done a significant amount of work to it or changed it in any way.
I don't believe so.
So, Josh, my apologies for bringing this right back, but
Sure.
my specific question is, do the stamped drawings have an expiration date?
I don't think that.
No,
No.
no. The delineation has an expiration date
Absolutely.
of
So those are
3
two
years.
separate. And we can, if we want, to have new certified stamped plans for the new report.
That
But
is-
the stamped drawings do not expire, or they're still valid.
You could say that, yeah, that's correct.
Based on looking at the plan, it looks like the top of the coastal bank is what looks like to be a seawall, or some type of timber retaining wall.
Retaining.
Yeah, so I wouldn't imagine that changing unless you guys have touched anything. So in the eyes of, resource area changes in the past couple of years, I don't see using that plan being an issue.
I agree with Jason.
I agree too.
Yeah, I would like to have, Roy Anderson again, I'd like to have a document from the applicant that says, we certified no changes have occurred. Something simple, yes.
Would we ever ask the new engineer to make an affidavit that said they've looked at both and there's no significant change, or?
You could require the applicant to obtain a letter from the engineer who did that plan certifying that.
And is that the engineer who's not responsive right now, or is?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Your backlog of quite a bit of work. So when I went to obtain these, I thought it'd be a simple thing. We're weeks out, if not months.
Don't forget the microphone. Don't forget to speak in the microphone. That's okay. I would be comfortable with that.
What?
Letting him use them.
Letting
Letting him use the
as
affidavit.
is?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be
With
too.
the affidavit.
Right, if you,
Yeah.
right, the,
Okay, so
So you'd have to
let me ask
resubmit.
you this. We'd like the deadline for the September 7th meeting is tomorrow at noon. So can we submit it and then add that, once we get it, if it takes, say, a week or so?
I believe that's acceptable. Josh?
Supplemental information.
I think the applicant should include everything with the submission.
the letter.
To
So
meet.
that's
So that's going to kill the whole thing. That puts us
For the
behind
7th.
it. That's what we're trying to
That's-
avoid here, Josh. So-
That's what every applicant must do.
So
Next one is the 21st, so it would be September 21st meeting.
there isn't, you don't have a filing yet, right?
No, no.
You're trying to get one in.
We'd like to get him, its deadline's noon tomorrow for the 7th.
Right, so, just so I understand, what precludes the applicant from submitting everything by the deadline tomorrow? If they can submit the affidavit
Right.
with their NOI, and then we would review
Well,
it at the
Thinks he's not going to be able to get the
It's getting an
affidavit.
affidavit tomorrow morning. I'd have to call him at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and
Oh, I
and
thought,
beg
I guess
mercy,
I was
you know?
confused. I thought it was something that you were submitting, saying.
No, no,
I asked a follow-up question. So I guess that's something we would have to determine amongst ourselves. Would we want the affidavit from the applicant or the affidavit from an engineer?
I mean,
I think the engineer makes more sense.
yeah, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, the PE that did the drawings, a land surveyor.
Right. Could be
or-
another engineer. It's just as long as it's an engineer,
I said
right?
it's fairly common sense because I said it's a seawall. It's not moving as Jason's noted. So it's not moving. Nothing's changed there. So
And when he
it's very straightforward.
When he submits the NOI, we can deliberate at that time too, what we,
I was gonna say, it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of on him, because if we don't like what he presents to us when he sends everything in, then he has to resubmit it all and get a whole new engineering plan, right? So like,
Well, I'm not saying that will happen, but right.
but you know what I'm saying,
Roll the
like,
dice.
Well, no, I mean, with us saying that he's, we're okay with him using that plan, I think that's kind of it. If we're saying that today, that he's gonna be presenting that plan to us as a part of his notice of intent.
right, but we'd go through the normal hearing process. and
Yeah,
we'd go through-
absolutely. We're just deciding on whether or not he can use that.
Yeah, we're just
plan.
deciding whether or not he can use
Yeah,
that plan
right.
from the NOI, which I'm
I don't have any
I'm okay with
problem
that. And with a letter from, you stating that nothing's changed, and if we need to, when the NOI comes around, we can say, hey, we'd also like on the file, an affidavit from your engineer. Yes, Josh?
If the commission wants, you could also just require during the hearing process that the applicant supply the affidavit prior to the close and approve of the filing.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think it's always good for an applicant to submit everything that's required by the deadline, whatever deadline that is. But this would be another option.
Okay, right, thanks.
Okay.
Right.
Then I would be comfortable allowing the NOI to proceed using the
there any-
previously drawn plans.
Is there any public comment on this file? Okay.
Okay.
Close.
Excuse me, not exactly public comment, it's on the other applicant, but my bigger question.
Could you use the mic? I'm sorry. Thank you.
My My bigger question on this whole thing is, it specifically says in our instructions that we are not to use plans that have an overlay. And our site plan is currently up to date. I don't know why you keep talking about it being old.
Yeah.
But it does have the existing house as well as the proposed house on the same plan. And so my question in being here tonight was, may we submit that?
Yeah.
You're okay
Yeah,
with that, even
yeah.
though it says no overlays? You're okay with that?
I don't know what the no overlays.
It wouldn't be immediately rejected because if it has an overlay, correct, Josh?
It's your choice.
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with this plan? You looked at it, so.
Right, we saw it in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
That was my concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're okay to use, and you want an affidavit from me? Is that notarized? Does that matter?
We want an affidavit from an engineer
Oh, from an engineer?
who can
That-
certify that it is, that the plan that you're submitting is no different. Actually, I don't even know if it's relevant. You're saying this is a new plan, so
Yeah,
if
this-
this
yeah,
plan
this-
is up to date, then we don't need
This
the
is an
affidavit.
up-to-date,
Yeah, so,
this is an up-to-date plan, you know,
We didn't
what's
realize
there.
that.
I
We
mean,
thought
the
it was an
seawall.
expired plan.
yeah, I think we were all a little
Okay,
confused.
all right.
Yeah.
Made it more complex than it needed to be.
Yep.
You're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please
Proceed.
submit that plan.
So all we need to do is just submit this and nothing else
Please
at this
submit
point.
that.
Okay, great.
Get to filing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, go back. Sorry, I thought that was going to be a quick one.
I think we
Josh.
made it. Somebody.
You want to make a motion?
Oh, okay, I'll make a motion to permit the use of the site plan presented to us tonight, shown to us by
The overlay of site plan.
the applicant for the overlay site plan for 12 Harbor Street in use of his NOI filing.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Thank you very much. Okay, I would now like to open DEP, oh, we don't have a file number on this one. So I'm going to open it and we can go ahead and request to continue unless the number came in. Josh, did they get a,
I have a letter requesting the continue.
oh, requesting, okay. I'll read that into the record then. Thank you. Okay, this is an email from Kyle Hanrahan from Merrill Inc. to Josh Wrigley regarding 16 Old Farm Lane, their NOI. Hello, due to scheduling and timing conflicts, Merrill engineers and land surveyors hereby formally request a continuance of the hearing for 16 Old Farm Lane to the next available hearing date, which is September 7th. Please let us know when it is rescheduled for. Thank you. Kyle Hanahan. Okay, so I take a motion to continue.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue DEP file number to be determined, Anthony Lopopolo, care of Merrill Engineering, for notice of intent to construct a pool, patio area, fence, and deck expansion at map 39, parcel 143, located at 16 Old Farm Lane in Sandwich, Mass, to the September 7th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay, we'll move on to continued hearings. I'd like to open DEP file number SE 66-1945, Paul G. Gilbert, trustee, care of Bracken Engineering, for a notice of intent for a proposed new septic system at map 89, parcel 105, located at 1 Bay Beach Lane.
Good evening again, Don Bracken, Bracken Engineering. Rob Dubois from my office was here last time. The hearing was opened, so obviously I'm here anyway, so I'm going to cover it. We made changes to the plan after the last meeting. I believe the commission didn't want the concrete chambers for the soil absorption system, so those have been changed to the plastic infiltrator systems, roughly in the same area. I think the other conversation was on the existing septic system in the back, whether or not that was going to be removed and abandoned. We proposed it to be abandoned. What we didn't realize at that time, and I believe it was just before the meeting, around the meeting, they had already backfilled the area as part of the order of conditions for the work along the coastal dune. And so the existing system and tank has been already planted. So What we'd like to do, and it's a leaching field with stone and pipe, so it's probably, if you're going to abandon a system in place, that's probably the best system to abandon. There aren't any structures except the pipes or any cavities in the ground or anything like that. So, and obviously this was being used, I assume, up until now, or continue to be used, I guess, until the new system is put in. So under Title V, we are going to have to abandon the old system anyway. Title V will allow us to keep the leaching field there, but the septic tank would either have to you can remove it, you can crush the top of it and rupture the bottom of it, so that there's no longer a cavity in the ground, but you can leave the concrete there. Obviously, that's probably not ideal in this type of situation, but I think given the circumstances, the best way to properly abandon that would be to fill the septic tank with flowable fill, which is like a slurry that would harden into concrete so that there's no longer any cavity there. That seems to be the best option in our mind, rather than trying to get a machine back there and redisturb that entire area. So,
what is the risk with crushing the system underground, the top and the bottom, collapsing it versus filling it with a slurry?
There's no real disturbance to fill it with the slurry, because the slurry truck,
Okay, right.
it's just
you
a
pump
hose.
it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll just have to open one of the covers to fill it.
And is there a long-term concern about sinking at all if the system were collapsed?
I don't think so, because it's already been filled with water at like 63 pounds a cubic foot, and I think the slurry it's not like concrete. It's much lighter than that. It's probably somewhere in between. So I don't think the added weight is gonna do anything. Even if there was some slight settlement, it's it would easily repaired if there were any sinkholes or anything. But I really don't think that would be the case. I've seen a lot of systems abandoned this way. This is really a more popular way in a lot of situations to abandon a system.
Before we go on, is there any public comment regarding this filing? Okay, I'll close public comment. Thank you, Don. Commissioners, other questions?
And I forgot to mention, the Board of Health has looked at the plan, so they're okay with the plan.
I appreciate you resubmitting it without the concrete.
Someone did a good job with the plantings. I think Hillary would be happy.
I like it.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah, I think last time we had discussed potentially requesting the removal of the existing tank, but I think given the level of restoration that's been done, it would probably be more detrimental to the dune than it would be beneficial than what we would gain from removing it. So
I agree.
I concur. Any other questions from the board? Okay.
No.
I'll take a motion then.
Okay, I will make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SE66-1945, Paul G. Jobert, trustee, care of Bracken Engineering, for the notice of intent for a proposed new septic system at MAP 89, parcel 105, located at 1 Bay Beach Lane, Sandwich, Mass., with standard and special conditions as discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, moving on. I would like to open DEP file number SE66-1936, Donald Dawson, care of Environmental Consulting and Restoration, for an after-the-fact notice of intent for a driveway expansion and an elevated viewing platform at MAP 96, parcel 45, located at 255 Phillips Road in Sandwich. Hi
All
there.
right, excellent. Good evening, Commission. My name's Cameron Larson with Environmental Consulting and Restoration, representing the applicant, Donald Dawson, who's also in the audience with us tonight, as well as Barry Fogel, who's also representing the applicant. So we had opened this hearing back in April. It's been some time tracking down a structural engineer to get our plans together, but we opened the hearing back in April. We had a good discussion. We received some feedback from the commission that we've been able to incorporate into a revised plan. The commission, or I guess before I get into those revisions though, just to refresh your memory, I'll just show you the site real quick. It's the northeast side of Phillips Road on Cape Cod Bay, single family home, parking area off the front, walkway down to the beach to the rear, and then this existing platform also to the rear. So what we were proposing in the notice of intent was to permit the parking area expansion. We were also proposing to reconstruct the platform, the viewing platform to the rear of the house. And at the initial filing, we had proposed a wooden slat rollout walkway along the existing path down to the beach. So now getting into the revisions that we had made to the plan, the commission asked for some additional notes. The revised plan shows all our notes regarding proposed conditions in red very clearly. We've added additional mitigation beach grass plantings at the request of the commission. We have since taken out the wooden slat walkway that was proposed to get to the beach. And based on recommendations from the commission, we're going to actually plant out either side of that walkway and reduce it to about 4 feet wide. It's currently ranges from 6 to 8 feet. We've expanded planting to the back of the house and then around the platform also. And then the big thing that the commission had asked for was a report from a structural engineer certifying the helical pile, the use of helical piles on the platform. So we have provided the commission with that report for the record. That essentially sums up the revisions. So tonight we're seeking approval to move forward with this project, and if you have any questions, be happy to address those at this time.
Is there any public comment regarding this filing? Okay, I'll close public comment. Commissioners, any questions?
Roy Anderson, so there's no items to be built on top of this platform? This is just the raised platform and nothing else on it?
Correct.
And nothing else will ever be put on it?
At this time, no. We're just proposing to...
Ever?
Well, I'm not going to speak on that, but I'm saying at this application, all we're proposing is to rebuild the platform as is.
And you said the path will remain sand? Was that correct?
Yes, correct. And we'll be narrowing it down to 4 feet as the commission had requested previously.
Okay, thank you.
The driveway, what was the driveway material?
Oh, yeah. It's just gravel at this point.
Just like a typical 3/4 inch washed stone?
Yep, and we are proposing some additional gravel in that existing area, just to maintain that.
The same type
Yes,
of gravel?
yep, same gravel.
3/4 inch?
Yep, whatever's there, just...
Washed. Okay.
And that it says existing parking area to be replenished with 3 inches of gravel. Is that just referring to the depth of
Exactly,
gravel
correct.
that will be laid? Okay, got it. And there's no kind of base or anything like that going down, like a stone dust or anything like that?
Nope, just the gravel.
That's good. I don't really have any other comments. I mean, it seems like the applicant has accommodated all of the things that we've asked for, particularly looking at this plan.
Right.
Right
The
here.
walkway in particular.
Yeah, that slatted boardwalk that you're gonna roll out seasonally, is that going to be 4 feet only?
No,
No, they're not going to do that.
I think, Lily, and
I must
other
not have
people,
answered
the
it.
plan in the file that we got is not totally current. So if you want to look at this one, it is more current and it reflects that removal of the slatted walkway.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more on this. Okay.
All right. There.
Right, no, sorry, but there's a lot more notes here than I was seeing in the file.
Oh,
so
okay,
My apologies,
yes,
I just
okay.
want a quick second on this.
No problem. I believe we did submit the electronic copy. It should be in
Yeah,
record, but...
I think I just
think-
probably opened the old file.
Yeah, I was looking at in the file versus in the email that was submitted, so it was on me, but I still just
Same.
want a quick
Okay.
second. Does anyone else want to see this? Okay, awesome.
And just to clarify, the applicant did notify me that they're not planning to build anything on that platform, ever.
Thank you. It's a strong word.
In perpetuity, I think is the.
I didn't want to use it, but
And that the platform would never move further towards the water?
never, ever.
Hopefully with the helical piles, that would be difficult to do.
Oh, here we go.
Unless the water moves closer to it.
Anyways, I have
Did
nothing further.
Okay, did I miss a limit of work for the installation of the helical piles?
We didn't establish a limit. It'll be done by hand. There's, existing sand area, around that platform, so there's a work area that we can use without disturbing vegetation. Again, once it's installed, this surrounding area will all be planted with beach grass.
So could we condition it such that the limit of work not encroach on any currently vegetated areas, not extend beyond the current unvegetated area? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's something I would want to do, just to make sure that, it's on record noting that.
That's acceptable. There's plenty of room there.
Okay.
I'm all set with the.
Yeah,
the plan.
and that the viewing platform stay there in perpetuity. Yep, okay.
Okay.
Take a motion.
I mean, if they want to take it down someday, that's fine.
Well, that's fine, right, but stay there in that spot, no closer to the water.
Right, yeah.
Have any other conditions that it wants to,
I don't, other than that limit of work, when I think the plan that had been
Oh,
submitted
no,
is satisfactory.
right, we don't want to expand the driveway
I
any
meant to say
further.
this before, that before taking the motion, it's a great opportunity to talk about what conditions you want, because if you have concerns about things, then the conditions are really the place where those can be safeguarded.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only two other things that I would consider conditioning it are that, no further expansion of the driveway is to take place, which seems reasonable, and then no widening of the footpath
Yes,
beyond what's shown on the plan.
and to make sure there's no at-grade structures at all.
Right. Which, based on the plan, I mean, it doesn't appear there's
Doesn't appear that
anything
way.
like that planned anymore, so I think we're okay.
Do we want to specify what gravel is? That's the 3/4 inch round.
Wrench, right?
Yeah, I think that's in our standard.
3/4 inch round wash native stones will go in, yeah.
And I think we should have do we need the site plan to include those changes, or are they okay just to be on the conditions?
I think that can be conditioned.
Yeah, I think it would be,
Okay.
Those are pretty straightforward conditions.
Yes. So Josh, were there other conditions that you feel that we may have missed?
Right.
I don't have any conditions, but, as a coaching moment, if you have concerns about various things, you can think about that, and you can think of how that could be a condition. So, think about it.
So, can you just walk me very briefly through exactly what you're going to do with the driveway? Like you're gonna go in, you're gonna dump a bunch of gravel in, you're not, do you have?
Right. Remember, just as a point of consideration, that this is an after-the-fact notice of intent for the driveway expansion. So I think it's already.
Yeah, we're not going to be expanding it
Three-quarters
anymore.
washed gravel.
So what we're showing on the plan, the existing limit of the driveway, or the parking area, and that'll be where the crushed stone will be
Already
placed.
been done.
Access right from the road and spread right there.
Okay, so I guess, I know I'm nitpicking this a little bit, but there says a limit of excavation, and you're also showing the current edge of parking area due to slumping of sand since excavation. So I just want to be clear, are you planning on excavating that slumping sand, or are you going to leave it? Or am I missing a?
Yeah, I'll happily clarify. There'll be no more excavation, and that sand that's slumped will be planted with beach grass to stabilize.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Sure.
Okay. If everyone else is satisfied, I'm comfortable making a motion.
Okay.
Okay. I will make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SE66-1936, Donald Dawson, care of Environmental Consulting and Restoration, for the after-the-fact notice of intent for driveway expansion and an elevated viewing platform at map 96, parcel 45, located at 255 Phillips Road, Sandwich, Mass, with standard and special conditions as discussed.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Commission.
Thank you. Good night. You're welcome. Good night.
Okay. Moving on, I would like to now open DEP file number SE66 to be continued. Peter Lee, care of BSC Group Incorporated, for notice of intent for after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 60, located at 101 Salt Marsh Road. I understand that, Josh, the new site plan has the correct resource area label. However, they don't have a file number yet, and therefore this filing must be continued.
Sorry. Sandwich Television had just emailed saying that they don't have my cell phone. Okay. So I apologize, but let me just... the guy before had it, so I don't know.
If we start getting moment-by-moment direction, I'm going to start charging. Like, I'm going to put my people in touch with your people, just to be clear.
Join SAG.
Yeah, Kim, I think that was all we were waiting on, was just the new plan, and then I think we told him that he didn't have to come back. We were going to approve on the
But
new
he has
plans,
a,
right?
but he doesn't.
But they don't have the DEP
Right,
file numbers
right.
yet,
So we
just
can't
have to-
approve it without the file number. So right.
Yeah. This really, should have been accompanied by a request to continue. But the commission can't close without a file number.
Okay.
Natural Heritage letter is here, so what I would advise is that the commission just continue to September 7th, and I'll inform Paul later this week.
Nothing we can do about that, right? Okay. All right. And I'll take a motion then.
Sure. I will make a motion to continue DEP file number to be determined, Peter Lee, care of BSC Group, for the notice of intent for the after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 60, located at 101 Salt Marsh Road, Sandwich, Mass, to the September 7th meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Was that Elizabeth seconding?
No, that was Lily.
Okay.
Okay. I will now open DEP file number to be determined. Judy McKenzie, care of BSC Group Incorporated, for the notice of intent for an after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 50, located at 83 Salt Marsh Road. Same situation.
You want to make all the motions, Cam? Or you want to
I might as well.
Have Lily second him so it's easy for Josh.
All the motions, and Lily can do all the seconding.
There you go.
Sounds good.
On it, okay.
All right. Unless there's any other comments, I will make a motion to continue DEP file number to be determined, Jody McKenzie, care of BSC Group, for the notice of intent for the after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 50, located at 83 Salt Marsh Road, Sandwich, Mass, to the September 7th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. The next one is DEP file number to be determined, Gilbert Forrest, care of BSC Group, for notice of intent for an after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 45, located at 73 Salt Marsh Road. Same situation. I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion to continue DEP file number to be determined, Gilbert Forrest, care of BSC Group, Inc., for the notice of intent for the after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 45, located at 73 Salt Marsh Road, Sandwich, Mass, to the September 7th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. At the risk of being redundant, I'd like to open DEP file number to be determined, Stephen Carnlott, care of BSC Group, notice of intent for after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 49, located at 81 Salt Marsh Road. Same situation. I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion to continue DEP file number SE66, to be determined. Stephen Carnault, care of BSC Group, Inc., for the notice of intent for the after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 49, located at 81 Salt Marsh Road, Sandwich, Mass., to the September 7th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. I'd like to open now DEP file number to be determined. Christine Carlnut, care of BSC Group. Notice of intent for an after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 48, located at 79 Salt Marsh Road. Same situation.
Can I do this one? Okay, sweet. Okay. Sorry, are you done?
Same situation, I'll take a motion.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to continue DEP file number SE66 undetermined for Christine Carnault, care of BSC Group Incorporated, for a notice of intent for after-the-fact coastal dune restoration at map 77, parcel 048, located at 79 Salt Marsh Road, Massachusetts, for the September 7th hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks, guys.
Good work.
Good work, good job. Okay, we already handled the informal 12 Harbor Street, so we'll move on now to emergency certification. Josh?
We don't have any,
No, okay. And any enforcement issues?
I don't think we have any. Do we have any?
Nothing on the agenda.
Not on the agenda. Okay, and I don't see anything enforcement related either. Okay. Other business?
Nothing has come to light, at least. It's out there.
Okay,
We just haven't found it yet.
right. I'm sure it's there. So under other business, we have the review of the Conservation Commission policies and our mission statement. And I also wanted to confirm our date of the 31st for our rules and regs meeting.
That date is okay with me.
Everyone's just confirming.
Yeah.
31st.
I'm sorry,
Of August,
of August.
31st.
right?
Is it August 31st? Yeah.
Because we were trying to do a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We put
It
5.
was 2 weeks from,
Yes.
I have it down as 5:30 to 8:15, 8 o'clock. Is that the idea?
Wow, okay.
5:30 to 7, but
I had it from
yes.
5 to 5:30.
Perfect.
If
I'm
I'm
leaving with
okay with you, I know you've been doing a lot of work.
I think I'm going to be more accurate.
Sorry.
I want to make sure it works for Josh too, because I know you've been like doing overtime.
yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what time again?
5:30?
5 to 5:30.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, is it 5 or 5:30?
5:30.
Yeah.
Wait.
5:30.
5:30, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Update my calendar.
I was just kidding about the invite. Okay. Okay, so do we have anything, Ron, do you have anything with regard to the policies and the mission statement that you wanted to address?
Who? Ron?
Ron.
I got Roy. Roy.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's a tough name.
My God.
Happy to respond to anything.
Mr. Anderson.
Chair happy.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Please forgive your chair for
Not a
making that
problem.
ridiculous, absent-minded mistake.
So what can I do for you?
I was just curious if you wanted to address anything that was listed under other business regarding the review of our policies and our mission statement.
No, I think we brought it up in the past, is that our website, which I believe everyone has a link to, calls out some very specific actions that are our responsibility. And I think that we should make sure our policies, procedures, and our website are all in sync, and that either we live up to those responsibilities or we adjust them accordingly so that we're no longer responsible for them. I'm not sure what that takes. I'm not sure who actually wrote the original responsibilities, but they're sufficient. I mean, they're significant. I just feel. What's that?
I think Mark and Dave wrote them.
Okay.
Mark
So, I mean,
Wachowski and Dave DeConte.
So at that point in time, they thought we were going to do an awful lot more than this meeting, which is very important and a priority, but those other issues in the responsibilities is pretty clear in terms of what we are meant to do.
Okay. Lily, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think alternatively, the way we could look at it is that it leaves us open to take part in these responsibilities versus requiring us to take part in these responsibilities.
I don't read it that way.
You do everything that's in the mission statement, but you don't do it. We do it through you,
That's the
or you do
thing.
it through us.
Yeah.
That's how it actually works.
And I just-
so it's not that
Okay.
things aren't being done. It's just
Right.
that we do it.
Yeah, because I know that we don't sit down and educate local citizens, but I know that you do, and I know that Rachel does.
Yeah.
The same with acquiring additional lands for the land bank, so I just want to be like,
Yeah.
Could we just, I mean, I don't know who does the website, but could we add, maybe change the language a bit to state that if you think it's necessary?
Yeah. I can talk with Dave about options there.
Like in association with the DNR, then the Conservation Commission does X, right? Okay.
Yeah, so there's two components to this, and I want to make sure we're clear. There's one component that says the commission is responsible for managing the conservation lands, accepting gifts of land and money, acquiring grant money, advising other town boards, and administering the Wetlands Protection Act. We're responsible through the National Resources Officer, which is exactly where Josh was coming to, in terms of managing the 1,500 acres, initiating conservation programs, working with the land bank, procure conservation restrictions, and educate local citizens. So I have no problem if we're responsible through you, but then it would through this language would suggest that you should report back to us on a quarterly basis as to how you're doing those things.
Well,
So-
we'll try to clarify that language maybe.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we want, I have no problem with the changing of that. I just say it's very clear as to what we're responsible to do in those two sections. And if we want to change that language, I'm all for it. I just want to make sure that we're
Probably
clear.
fix it somehow pretty easily.
To make it a little
I
more
would
clear.
just make a recommendation that we wouldn't burden you with providing us with quarterly updates. It would be more that notifying us when something was insufficient.
Right. Or
A
something
lot
that
of times
changed
this
the...
stuff comes in front of us anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we do try to keep you in the loop for a lot of things, that have gone on, with conservation properties, and, I had AmeriCorps come in to talk about
Yeah.
what they've been able to achieve over the year, things like that. So I know Dave, comes in at various points to talk to. So, we do try, but I think we can just very slightly tweak that language to make it more satisfactory.
Ron, would you be acceptable with that? Just kidding, Roy.
I'm very acceptable to any adjustments and changes that this commission wants to make so that we are clear on our responsibilities of which we need to take action.
Sure.
And if in fact we do not, then we should be clearly stating that
Right.
this is a need to know, this is a once a year report. I don't know, however the commission feels comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
But I just feel uncomfortable with the way it currently stands because I see it as having significant responsibilities that we're not doing. And I just feel that that's inappropriate.
Would you be willing to submit language that would make it more acceptable to...
Let me just tweak the language.
Okay.
And, sorry.
Okay, I just
I
didn't
think
want to
that's
make
just
more...
easiest.
Okay, I just didn't want to make more work
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. No, it's okay. I'll find some way to. I'll talk with Dave about it. Hopefully we can just do it
Okay.
quickly.
All right. Great. Sounds good. We don't need a motion for that, I'm sure.
Just as a point of reference, when we first talked about this over a year and a half ago, we asked the commission of whether or not they were interested in doing some of these things, and I believe the commission says they were. So if that's not the case any longer, that's fine too. That's the only reason I was chasing it, is because it sounded like the commission wanted to be more involved in some of these things.
Right.
But once again, I am very open to whatever changes Josh suggests.
I think we spoke about that last meeting too, getting more involved in doing, which I'm okay with.
I mean, to be very honest, I'm kind of at capacity in my life right now, so I'm happy to do what we talked about during the last meeting with doing the check-ins and being supportive of Josh, but I have like zero capacity to be looking beyond
Totally
that sort of
understand.
thing. Okay, cool.
Good, okay.
I'm in the same boat.
Okay, good.
I'm actually outside the boat.
Yeah.
I always feel guilty saying that, but whatever.
Okay, so do we have minutes for,
Unfortunately, we don't.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so, you want to do the motion to close the meeting,
Oh
really?
my gosh, I would love to make a motion to adjourn the August 17th meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission at 8:19 p.m.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. We are adjourned. Thank you.